President, please be seated.
បាទអង្គជំរះប្រកាសបន្តកិច្ចដំណើរការនីតិវិធីសកម្មភាពនិង
The court is back in session and the floor is given to the defense counsel for Mr. Nguyen Chie to put question to this witness.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning again, Mr. Witness. Mr. Witness, before the break we discussed how you and the 4 other group chiefs were responsible for the situation of the 100 individuals from your village in terms of sleeping, in terms of sickness, etc. I have one other topic that I would like to ask you some questions about, and that is about the food situation of the 100 people coming from your village. Were you and your 4 colleagues also responsible for providing food to the 100 villagers?
Answer. In relation to food for laborers or workers, so I may refer them as laborers. The 100 workers that were working in our worksite, they received food. I requested food from village and gave them to workers in my worksite.
So it was you and your 4 colleagues who were responsible for the logistics of the food being brought to these 100 individuals working at the dam. Is that correct?
Answer, yes, that is correct.
And could you be a little more specific as to how the process of requesting food went and how the food then subsequently was delivered to the group of 100 people? How did that go about in these 6 months that you were working there?
We discussed about food supplies or food before we went to the work site to work. I informed those who were at the rear line that if I requested food supplies for workers at the front line, please deliver them in time, and the food supplies would be delivered first thing in the morning and placed in the communal dining hall. Some food supplies were kept in the kitchen and some were kept at the work sites. But mostly food supplies, because of their weight, they were put in the kitchen. And the food supplies would be delivered based on the numbers of workers at the work sites. And the amount of food supplies would also cover the young children who accompanied the workers to the work site as well.
I'm talking now about the first January dam. How was, you were mentioning a kitchen. Was there a kitchen also, sort of an improvised kitchen at the dam site where you were working? Was the food brought to an improvised kitchen belonging to the 100 villagers that you were working with?
ចំពោះ
Answer. When the food supply arrived at our place, we organized the improvised kitchen, and 4 people were assigned to be working in the improvised kitchen. They were also responsible for shouldering or carrying waters, and there was a big pot for cooking soup, 1 kettle, 1 pot for boiling water, and the pots were used collectively.
So would you be able to tell us, in general, what the 100 people that you were and the other 4 group leaders supervising, what they were eating in the morning, during lunch, and at dinner? Roughly, what were these 100 people eating every day?
ទៅកន្លែង
Answer. In our work sites, during mealtime, we had our own plates or bowls, and we were given meals to eat, and we could have the meal. And if 3 people brought 3 bowls or plates, and then the food or meal would be supplied and placed into the plates or bowls. There were no proper tables to dine, and there was mat. We were sitting on the mat and having a meal.
But just to be very clear, you and your 4 colleagues were responsible for the fact that the 100 people under your supervision were fed in the morning, during lunch, and at night. Is that correct?
Answer. When I was working on the dam, we had no cooked rice to eat in the morning. We were only provided with a cooked rice at lunchtime and in the evening. No cooked rice in the morning.
I understand, but in terms of logistics, it was you and your 4 colleagues who had to make sure that the 100 people under your supervision were having something to eat in the morning, during lunch, and in the evening. Is that correct?
Answer. Yes, that is correct.
Now, was it the intention of you and your 4 colleagues to make sure that the 100 people under your supervision would get as much food as possible? Maybe not always sufficient, but it was your aim to make sure that they ate well. Is that correct?
Answer. Yes, that is correct. We were trying to provide sufficient food for workers to eat so that they could work.
Now, I have another question about the composition of the group. There is a witness saying that groups coming from villages sometimes rotated. Did any of those 100 individuals that were working, were these the same people all 6 months, or were you able to change people within your group by other villagers. Was that your discretion as well?
President, do you have any documents to lay the foundation for this question? If you have any documents to cite from, please give reference, your number also.
I'm referring to the witness who is actually coming hereafter, and I'm not quite sure if I follow completely what he said, but I understood that there was rotation of groups. So I tried to, on purpose, be a little vague about it. So my question is not so much about what other witnesses said, but whether he had any discretion within his group to decide to replace somebody within the group. So I withdraw the reference. My question, Mr. Witness, is only, were you able, together with your 4 group leaders, to rotate people within the group of 100? Or were these 100 people always the same during those 6 months they worked?
Answer. Actually, we rotated our workers.
It was just your responsibility, together with the other 4 group leaders, to make sure that 100 people were working. Is that correct? And it didn't matter which 100 people were working. Would that be a fair summary?
Answer. We try to have the full composition in our group. There is 20 members in one group. And if the work was not so hard and we were not striving very much in our work, and we would remove some workers from the full composition.
So, did it happen that people within the group of 100 were at one point in time in those 6 months replaced by other people from your village?
Answer, yes, it happened. Some workers in our work site got tired. They requested to return home. Because of this, I told people in the rear line to replace those who requested to return home, and as a result, we have the replacement.
Now, are you able to tell, taking into consideration these replacements, how many people in total from your village had at one point worked at the dam? How many times people were replaced? Do you remember?
Answer. The replacement was not regular, and some workers were replaced by some new people. Why we did not replace some workers? Because they were progressive people, and for those who did not achieve the work, then we would replace them, and they would return them back to the village to work with the old man making baskets. It does not mean that the people who were replaced and returned back to the village could take a rest. Everyone was working on the 1st January dam site.
Now, Mr. Witness, I've been asking you questions about the organization and the functioning of the group of 100 people that you supervised together with your 4 colleagues. However, we also know that at one point in time, approximately 20,000 people were working at the dam site. Are you able to make a comparison between how you and your 4 colleagues supervised your group of 100 villagers to other groups of 100 people, for instance, from villages? Can you make any comparison how your colleagues from other villages in Sector 42, for instance, did their job?
Answer. Allow me to inform you, Council, based on the workforce. The achievement of work was sometimes of the same nature, and I cannot give you the full picture of this.
But while working at the dam site, were you able to observe working conditions of other groups coming from other villages? In other words, were you able to see how the unit chiefs were dealing with their people and make any comparison how you did it with your colleagues?
Answer. There were differences, and group leaders may have had their different approaches in a working manner, and I myself had another or separate, distinct approach in a working manner.
But in terms of working conditions and food situation, etc., were you and your 4 colleagues sort of average supervisors, or were you more severe or less severe than other groups that were working adjacent to where you were working, or is that difficult to say?
Answer. When we were striving to work in the work site, we would meet among us to discuss how to achieve a best result, and we would consider the opinion or comments experience made by workers, no matter they were young or old people.
Would it be fair to say that the individual experience of any worker at the dam was highly dependent on the way the supervisor of this person treated this person?
គេប្រុសវា
Answer. It, you can say like that. It depended on the workers. If a worker agrees to adopt or follow the instruction of the chief, and then we would allow them to do the work. Actually, we had to give value on their opinion and idea so that they could work hard.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. Now, my next question would be, if you are able, in general terms, to say what the purpose was of building the first January dam. Why did Angkar decide to build the first January dam?
Answer. I do not know the reason. In my opinion, Angkar built the dam to provide water for farming. Some says that Angkar built the dam to make the electricity, to produce the electricity. And I could see that the place was named that it was to be the hydropower dam, and I have no idea about the hydropower dam, and for me I think the dam was used to provide water for farming.
And who would ultimately profit from a dam that was functioning properly? Who would be the ultimate benefactors of a functioning dam?
Answer. The dam was built for 1 year. After 1 year, we could reach Cambodia site, and after 1 year, we could have water to farm. I mean, in 1978. And at the present time, the dam was used to provide water for farming, and there is huge harvest as a result of farming.
And was it your understanding that the 100 people that you supervised would at one day also profit from a functioning dam that they had been working at for 6 months?
Answer. Yes, that is correct.
ថ្ងៃ គេ
At the present time, water from the dam can be used to farm.
And the ultimate purpose of this dam, providing food for the 100 individuals that you were supervising, among others, was that also a reason that you were proud of the work that you were doing at the first January dam?
Answer. Yes, that is true.
And was it your observation that the 100 individuals that worked at the dam also would see the potential profits of the dam that they had been working on?
Answer. Yes, nowadays they benefit from the dam, and people who have plots of land in the lower part of the dam, they could benefit from the water in the dam, and some people can use the water for their vegetable plantation, and some use the water for farming.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. One last question in relation, I think, to the dam. Have you ever seen wedding ceremonies at the dam worksite, where people married in groups at the dam site, or did marriages only occur in the respective villages?
Answer. In relation to marriage, after the construction or the completion of the dam in the north side, marriage were conducted, but not at the dam site, in the village.
So wedding ceremonies or marriages had nothing to do with what happened at the dam site. Is that correct?
Answer. While we were building the dam, we were focusing on building it. And after the farming season, the commune would reserve one day for a marriage ceremony.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. I have been asking you predominantly questions about your capacity as group leader in relation to the work at the dam. I also have a few additional questions to you in your capacity as chief of your village, because that seemed to be the focus of the questions of the prosecution. Now, so I have no more questions about the dam, but now about things that happened in your village. And let me start by asking you the question, following up what you said yesterday, that at one point in time, in 1978, you had to leave your position because, as I understood, Ankar had lost trust in you. Would you be able to explain to us what you meant with the words lose trust? Why did Ankar lose trust in you?
Answer. I have no idea why they lost trust on me and why I was removed. And for those who were removed by Ankar, very few of them survived. And after my removal, I was never reinstated. And at that time, the United Liberation Front came to the country.
But were you disciplined by Ankar? Were you sent to a re-education center, or were you just let go of your function?
Answer. For my removal, I was not sent for any re-education. I was assigned to farm by using the cattle and cows for ploughing. When I was the former chief, I was not doing ploughing job. I was only supervising people. And after the removal, I was made to be a normal or ordinary worker.
Now, in those 3 years or so after 1975, April 75, that you were village chief, did you ever order the arrest of anybody?
Answer. Counsel asked for the order to arrest. I have never made any order to arrest people. It was under the responsibility of the security force in relation to the arrest. I was supervising people to work in the farm and to secure their well-being.
Did you ever ask for instruction to have somebody sent for re-education because he or she committed either minor offenses or serious offenses?
ការងារ
Answer. I warned my people by myself. I have never sent my workers for re-education, and my fellow colleagues working with me was also involved in advising or warning our people. We were like brothers and sisters. We have never sent our own villagers or people for re-education by others.
What if somebody complained to you that he or she was hungry, or that somebody had stolen cassave, for instance, because he or she was hungry? What did you do in such situations when you were a village chief?
បាទ
Answer. As for stealing cassava, I, the one who told villagers to plant cassava, so they owe the cassava plants and they could benefit from the cassava fruits. A plot of land with the size of 20 by 30 meters was partly used to grow and plant cassava, and livestock were raised, chicken and ducks were raised in their own plot of land, so they could benefit from the fruits and livestock.
But did anybody ever complain to you that he or she did not have enough food, and then subsequently you sent this person for re-education, for instance, or that never happened?
Answer. No, not at all. No complaints. No one complained. As I stated earlier, during the meetings to indoctrinate people or to educate people, that what it was said at that time. After we returned from work, we would take some time to plant cassavas, and the plots, the land in my area could be used and was very fertile for growing cassava. After 6 months growing cassava, we could have the fruits.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. In those 3 years that you were village chief, have you ever been in the inside compounds, the inside buildings of a security center or of a re-education center? Have you ever been inside one of those institutions?
No, I never entered the compound.
I think I know the answer, but I'm asking you anyway. Have you ever witnessed any execution of people in the time that you were village chief?
I never witnessed such an execution. And as I said, I was easily frightened, and it would not be good to witness any horrible situation.
Now, yesterday, Mr. Witness, you were asked questions about 8 families who were living in your village and who were, you said, I think, relocated to another village. Would it be possible that these 8 families were sent to a re-education center?
President Witness, please wait, and the International Co-Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Your Honor, I'm intervening just to make the record clear. My recollection is 15 families were identified. The witness hid 8 families, and 7 families were taken away. So it's important whether we're talking about the 8 families that were hidden by the witness or the 7 that were taken away.
I agree with the prosecutor, Mr. President. Would it be possible, Mr. Witness, that the 7 families that were relocated, in your words, were sent to a re-education center?
Witness. At that time, I was working at the Jam village. People were tracked to another location, probably to a rubber plantation, although I myself was not sure. And some other people said they were tracked out to another location, and that was the security matter which I did not know, and I myself was busy doing the rice transplantation at the Jam village.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. And then my last question would be to you, is it fair to say that you have no knowledge whatsoever what the destiny was about the destiny of these 7 families, that you do not know for sure?
President Counsel, please rephrase your question, and it seems that it was a leading question, and maybe the witness did not get your question fully, and please try to avoid any leading question.
I'm not sure if I asked a leading question. I will do my best to avoid that. Mr. Witness, is it true that you have no knowledge of the fate of these 7 families?
I have already stated, I already made my point. On that day, I was working at a rice field far from the village. It was about 7 kilometers away from the village. And on that day, a truck was brought in to transport those people out. I did not know whether they were taken to Sri Lanka or to rubber plantation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Witness, for your answers. Thank you, Mr. President.
President, the chamber would like to hand the floor now to Kirsten's defense. You may proceed, counsel.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, witness. My name is Antagise. I am the co-counsel for Mr. Kirsampan, and I'm also going to put questions to you so that you can specify, provide clarification about what you were talking about yesterday and today. Now, picking up on questions put to you by my colleague with regard to the objective of the dam, yesterday you spoke about a meeting which you attended. This was at around 1:46 in the afternoon, and you said that people from the commune had come to explain to you matters related to the dam. And you say, and I will quote, they would explain how to proceed with the work. They would explain to us that we had to work and that the work would be difficult in order to build an irrigation system. We were explained how to build a dam. End of quote, free translation. So when you explained to my colleague just a little while ago that you thought that the aim of this dam was to have water for agriculture, is this in connection to the explanations that were given to you that day at that meeting?
The explanation that was given to us is that the purpose of building a canal was to irrigate the rice field, and that was the actual result of the canal construction.
And during that meeting, were you also given technical instructions in order to explain to you how you should operate? If I understood well, in the team that you were managing, you only worked on digging canals. Is that correct?
I led the force directly to dig the canal. And I directly supervised 20 workers. As for the other 80 workers, they were divided into 4 groups. And we all tried to work hard.
And during that meeting, in which the purpose of the dam was explained to you, were you somehow trained, or were you given technical indications in order to understand how you should dig this canal?
Yes, we were told, and in fact, a land survey was conducted on the size of the canal, the depth, and the height of the embankment, and we simply followed the guideline.
And who were the people who gave you these instructions? Do you remember these people?
They were bone and wood, who were the commune committee that provided us with instructions.
I also understood that when you were digging the canal, you would sleep on site. So my question is, since you had to move about as the canal was being dug, did you therefore still sleep in the same place, or as the canal was moving along, did you change places where you would sleep?
Allow me to explain to you that we were given a set distance of the canal where our group had to dig. For example, a 100-meter long canal was assigned to our group, and we have to complete the work quota, including the length of the canal, including the depth and the width of the canal, and we did not move our sleeping quarter as we had to complete this particular segment of the canal within the 6-month time period.
So if I understood your answer well, during the 6 months you were working on the canal, you remained in the same place because during those 6 months you were working on those 100 meters of the canal. Is that what I must understand from your answer?
Yes, that is correct.
And I don't know if this escaped me when you testified, but how far were you from the wall of the dam? Were you, because you were assigned to digging the canal, but there were also other groups who were assigned, I imagine, to the wall itself of the dam. So how far were you from that wall?
If you measure the distance from the site where we worked and the dam itself, we were about 500 to 700 meters away from the dam. And other groups would remain working at the assigned location by ONCA, and we had to finish the work at the assigned location.
And please let me know if I'm mistaken, but you said to my colleague that the group of 100 people coming from your village was divided into 5 subgroups. And were the other groups therefore working on other parts of the canal, or was it the entire group, the 100 people who were working on the 100 meters of the canal that you were supervising?
We were working together, although workers were divided into subgroups, but we stayed together. And once we finished that segment of the canal, then we move on to another segment, and we moved together.
And is it true that for groups coming from other villages, they would work on different segments?
Yes, that is true. Different segments were assigned to different villages or groups, because to the south, the project or that segment was assigned to people or workers from sector 42 or from Chamkan Le, and the people from sector 43 worked at the 6th January Dam construction site.
So, in these conditions, and when you told us that you would exchange your experiences with other group leaders, can we say that you would only exchange your experiences with group leaders from your village, or would you also exchange your experiences with group leaders coming from different villages?
We actually observed other groups, how fast they worked and how good the working environment was within those groups, and from this observation we applied the conditions within our groups.
My question is, did you speak to group chiefs from the other villages or not, in order to compare the working conditions?
No, we did not discuss such a matter with other groups, and as I could not leave my own groups.
So, is it true that under these conditions you were relatively autonomous? That each village or each group or each region one person belonged to on the work site was independent, autonomous?
I do not know about that. What I can say is that we were confident to achieve the assignment that were given to us by ONCAR on the building and the completion of the dam construction.
You spoke about the drought yesterday and today as well, that the region experienced between 76 and 77. So can you tell us in which months the drought occurred in 1976 and in which months the drought occurred in 1977?
during 1976, it happened during the Pchum traditional festival or ceremony. And in fact, the harvest from 1976 would be kept for consumption in 1977. And that was the hardest year for us as the drought hit hard and the rice produce was not that much from the harvest that we gained.
You also said that the works on the canal started around October 1976 or towards the end of 1976. And do you know if this drought that you just described was one of the reasons that led to the decision of building this canal?
I do not know about that. That would be the plan or the intention of Angka. What I know is that in October, the commune chief invited all the village chiefs to attend a meeting where he announced that Angka required us to build a canal from Lung Changkieng, crossing Prey Sranga and Kapawi. And during the first year, the construction only reached Kapawi area. And that was the information we received before we started digging the canal. And upon receiving such information, we prepared ourselves to be ready for canal digging. And of course, we were enthusiastic in preparing ourselves to dig a canal so that we could irrigate the rice field, as at that time the drought hit us hard.
Monsieur le Président,
Mr. President, I'll move into another line of questioning. Would it be the appropriate time for the break?
President, thank you. It is now appropriate for our lunch break. We take a break and resume at 1:30 this afternoon. Court officer, please assist the witness at the waiting room for witnesses and civil parties during the lunch break, and invite him back to the courtroom at 1:30 this afternoon. Security personnel, you are instructed to take his pawn to the waiting room downstairs and have him return to attend the proceedings in this courtroom before 1:30. The court is now in recess.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រោកឈរ